So, I appreciate that level of candor regarding pending employment. I wish my city council would have had that open and frank discussion while I was still negotiating my employment contract the night before I was hired. That would have given me a great deal of more money and more confidence, but thank you too. Okay, I've attended several volleyball games the last couple nights. It seems that the girls' volleyball team plays every day. They should have won every game, but there's just a little bit, and that's probably the most stressful thing I've ever been through, because you're like, and it's going on forever, kind of like tennis. But the takeaway is the logos and the way the gym is overdressed is killer. It's top notch. The floors are clean. It doesn't get any better. So the facility, I'll get to High Desert as well, and I'm sure the facilities look equally great, but everything was just awesome. The banners and everything. There's been so much work put into that. I did attend the Los Angeles County School Trustees Association meeting on September 6th. They had Mr. Thurman, the state superintendent of schools. He was talking quite a little bit about the need for counselors and psychologists. I like to keep my psychologists around here as much as possible, if you know what I'm saying. So, but there's such a shortage of these people in addition to teachers and everything. And if you're onboarding kids that are coming back, new kids and all those kinds of things, it's getting to the point where the state is going to start giving out scholarship funds to people who are considering school counseling. So if you're looking at a kid that's going to college and doesn't know just what to do yet, and they have compassion for human beings, something I'm not that familiar with, but encourage them to go and take a look at that field, because there's a severe shortage, and I can guarantee you there's going to be employability just about anywhere you want to go. Carrying on with this school psychologists and school counselors and things. I said last time that when we have full classrooms, someone else has empty classrooms. Kids don't just show up at 8 years old and 10 years old. I don't know where these kids are coming from, but I do know that we haven't seen them before, and I do know that some of them probably have IEPs. And I do know that once they're enrolled is the appropriate time to ask about an IEP, not before they enroll. But at the end of the day, when we have kids coming in here, there's 30 calendar days to identify those things, and then there's meetings to have and stuff. And I really don't want to see an uptick back there 6 months from now because we've missed dates and stuff. And we want to remember a big settlement can knock off 20 ADA enrollment just like that. So when we're onboarding kids, psychologists, counselors, those types of things, look at the paperwork really close. Always protect the dignity and confidentiality of kids who do have those kinds of things. But be on the lookout for those, because the time they walk in the door, the clock is ticking. I'm going to talk a little bit about that in unfunded liabilities when we get to the budget report. Guess what? The papers say the election has been canceled due to a lack of a sufficient candidate pool. I don't know that that's a compliment, but whatever it is, we have incumbents coming back. We have new board members that will take seats up here in December. Here's what I would say. I would suggest the superintendent's office and the administration team, please make yourself available. The people that are coming on are not board members yet. Let's not be confused about that. But we want to be able to make sure that people have the access to be really, really informed about the LCAP, the budget, and just governance training. We need to have a governance training session before December. I don't know that what the governance, Masters in Governance program has to offer, whether people who are going to be on the board or whatever can go to that. But if you come in here lacking financial expertise, governance expertise and you don't know what the LCAP is, I'm not interested in having a welcome wagon and be floating around in March and still wondering what we're doing here and trying to adjust to each other. Let's get up to speed on this stuff as quickly as possible. Superintendent's office, please, if somebody is reaching out to you and wants to understand, don't be a hindrance. The people who are coming in have expertise in areas that we need. I will limit it at that. Finally, I've always said, any that prescribe to my videos, I've always said, everything you think you are and know, your first trip back there can pop that bubble just like that. So if there are pending issues about stuff that's happened in the past, people are confused about that happened back there, ongoing issues, understandings about what you can say coming out of there about negotiations, what you can't, I would suggest you schedule the first meeting that includes the new board candidates in closed session to be an extended meeting. Bring everybody up to speed quickly, please. Keep your eye on Senate Bill 1061 and Assembly Bill 2584, because what those do is they look to limit how much special election costs are. And then there's some stuff about recalls and stuff. They're trying to limit the way that the boards are put together, especially in rural areas where there's fixing going on. I'll leave that at that. I don't take up the habit very often of violating the Brown Act by saying, oh, you spoke to me, so I'm going to respond to you. We're not supposed to do that. But I will say this. The ATTA rep, I've always said, I don't listen to gossip much. If I want to look at an employer, if I want to look at a school district that I'm going to send my kids to, I watch a school board meeting. And if it appears to be a fiasco, I'm not sending my kids there. If somebody's portraying the employees to be burned out, unmotivated, why would I send my kid to that school? So I very much appreciate the exchanges we've had lately, because they're a linear approach at problems that extend far beyond this district and into greater education. What I heard tonight out of the ATTA rep, it would be a pleasure for me to make the decision to send my kids here. And I think about 113 people have made that decision. I don't know why. I'm glad that they have. But I've said this in the past. I'll say it again. When I started on this board, we had our hand out for money. We don't even know where it was coming from. Everybody was suing us. Now our classrooms are busting out at the seams. We have programs that people want. This is about the business of education. We don't just come here anymore because it's down the street. There are a lot of choices in education now. And I'm proud of the team that's given people, this is where people are choosing to come and shop. And I congratulate you all. Brianna. You ready? Party time. I remember sitting out in the audience in 2013 and having a gentleman named Dick Douglas from Laco who was put in here because the district was in negative certification, and that person could override any decision the board made that would put the district in further financial peril. I want to talk a little bit about where this reserve came from. Knowing that you landed here in your position about the time when there was local revenue of about $4 million a year related to charter revenue. Jump at me if what I'm saying is incorrect, that about the time that you got here, the only reason we had any reserve at all was because the other charters did not take the same court action that Valiant and A3 took against us, because they probably didn't want to go through the same level of purview of having the state auditor look through the records. So I want everybody to understand, because people will step up to the microphone and be critical of me personally, that I have sunk their pool project, their track covering, their basketball court, and their tennis court. Sorry, I'm going to ask you where those are in the fund right here in a few minutes, but I want to go back to about the time Chad joined us on the board. Had we not received any COVID funding, had we not had this residual charter revenue, would the district had a positive certification without that reserve? So let's fast forward until the last 118 kids came in the last couple of weeks. Would this district be in a positive certification right now on its own ADA?
No. Well, the enrollment does not translate for me into ADA. I have to see the butts in the seat. So
But what I'm really getting at is, without prudent conservative management of the reserve by this board that sits up here right now, all of them, while we're up here being bashed about why I didn't put in a swimming pool and use this kind of covering and that kind of covering, yeah, I take it personal. I take it personally that I'm a success in holding on to money so our school isn't closed down. I just want to get that out into the record. And to this day, without the conservative management that you've thrown out on the table, I know the superintendent is throwing all kinds of pet projects out today, but without that conservative management, I want everybody to understand that this district would not be in positive certification. Okay. Now we're getting to our usual questions. How much charter revenue did you receive this year?
overall,
Yeah, how much money did you make off the charters? Please tell me zero.
make off 0, yeah.
Zero. And I need to confess something. I wanted to delay the charter policy update, but I kind of forgot. The reason we had to do a charter policy update every year is because the state auditor requires us to do that because they still don't believe that we cannot commit charter crimes of a funding nature. Is that accurate? Yeah, it is. Wow. Okay. Was there any charter, this is the one I want to know about, is there any charter-related encroachment, meaning whatever the charters did, we had to pay for because we're kind of like the LACO of our charters? Did we have to dive into our own kids' money to pay anything for a charter?
No.
That's incredible. You know how much potential there is for everybody to screw up. Would it be more accurate, going back to that local revenue that we were given back about AEA? You know, when you do a project for the government, they hold a retention on your money in case any of your work is screwed up. Isn't it not more accurate that LACO held on to that $133,000 to see if there were any more, did I just say more? Oh, I wasn't supposed to say more. Liabilities that came in with that charter when it failed, that weren't supposed to be in the first place because of all the MOUs we had in place. Would that be a more accurate statement? Yeah, there we go. Isn't the truth enriching? Okay. I'm kind of rowdy today because we had our annual, the department I work for, we have a commission. So that would be like, kind of like the safety committee at the high school coming in and informing the board. So you have a commission that runs a certain department. We went through our annual performance measure review today with the commission. The commission loves the performance indicators that we have. They better because they give us the money, and I work in Beverly Hills, so that's why it's nice over there. You want to follow school buses, follow my school buses. Anyway, how rude was that? Anyway, yeah, we wouldn't have new school buses if it wasn't for you getting the grants and doing all those kinds of things. Trust me, I know that. I'm going to give you compliments at the end. But what our commission is worried about is the unfunded liabilities. Do we have trees diving out of the sky, or the trip hazards, or all those kinds of things? I don't see anywhere in your numbers where there are a lot of what we would call an unfunded liability. So trip and fall in a city is kind of related to, say, what would a $250,000 sped settlement do to your budget right now? How many of those can you handle right now? 5, 10. You see the importance of checking the IEPs when they come in the door and make sure you know what 30 days is? Mm-hmm. Okay, now I want to talk about the projects. If our enrollment continues to increase, you don't have to answer this question. I've been around long enough to know the answer. If our enrollment will continue to increase, at what time do we need to bring this campus back into play? I would be thinking about that if I were y'all. Because when I get on TV and talk about how good it is, Chad, I loved your comments tonight. That was just the bottom line. That's the bottom line. But when people watch this, they're going to come over here. They're going to be, I want to be where Ken and Chad are at, and we're going to be flooded with kids. What is it going to take to bring this campus? Can we open the doors tomorrow morning? No, we can't. Why? Because there was no DSA approval, even when they gutted this room out and that room out to make whatever this is, because this used to be a library. That used to be sped rooms. But we were drowning in charter money, so we had to spend it so quickly that we had to gut that out and put this in here. But what is stopping this campus from taking students tomorrow morning? If I'm the facilities person, I'm looking at the list already exists of how many DSA violations there are on this campus is going to stop us from loading it up. Now, let's say that those equal $6 million. Is that in your budget anywhere? Maybe we should start back in the charter business, huh? Okay. Do you have any money for a pool? Okay, the pool thing. Let's clear that mystery up. About 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, LA County did what's called Prop A. They look at recreational opportunities for people based on spatial arrangements of populations, meaning there's a bunch of kids over here, they like to play soccer, we need a library. So they went and cataloged everybody's stuff and said, spatially, this is what we need. So the charter revenue was crashing, so everybody said, oh, the county's going to give us a pool. Some people actually believe that, even to this day, even a couple weeks ago from up there. The county's not going to put a pool in our gym. I'm sorry. And even if they wanted to, then we'd have to worry about who's coming into the new pool. You know how we are. So you don't have a new pool, you don't have a new running track, you don't have a basketball court, and you don't have tennis courts. I got an idea. Why don't you commit your reserve to these projects? Oh, look at him. He's not wanting that. Any more questions? Only reason people getting paycheck around here is because of that man. Okay, let's get into specifics. ASB, I remember the embarrassing situation. Imagine me sitting up here and getting an audit finding that our hot dogs stand money. This board has to give $80,000 back to the hot dog fund. I don't know what that was all about. It's very embarrassing. But finally, I like to see that the ASB fund is running on its own in a respectable way, that I don't have to give back money that I don't know where it went to. That upset me very much. Man, we've come a long ways in the 6 years I've been here. You did a great job, but people on the board, y'all right now, when you listen to this gentleman and you don't push pet projects and you're very conservative like you all have been on spending money and get us to the point where now we're taking back our own market, that's really, really great work. That's the measurement of this board, guys. Okay, I'm done. Good job.